Every organization limit is the leader, what he is willing to do, what risks he's willing to take. Share will can bring you to 3 million, but past that, people need to have SOPs ready for the people coming in.
30 plus headcount. How do you build culture?
This is what sets our company apart. Genuinely, people want to work here.
Talking HVAC, I know you're the best, but at some point you got to let the next man up, and they're not doing it half as good as you.
Everybody needs continuous training. That's the name of the game.
8 million in revenue. Where do you go from here?
The vision is 100 million. Money goals are not the best, but it's hard to avoid that.
Alek, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, I think it's funny. Like we've been trying to get on now for about 40 minutes, but it's kind of funny because I think it's like life as an entrepreneur, right? You got to be ready. You never know what life's going to throw at you. And so I appreciate you being flexible, and here we are. So excited to dig in with you. Talk a little bit about your business, right? So you're HVAC, plumbing, electrical?
Correct.
Pennsylvania, New Jersey?
Correct. We're located in Philadelphia, in the heart of Pennsylvania, heart of America. And actually, most of the work we do is actually heating related. Philadelphia still have a lot of boilers, so a lot of hydronic work. So I'm saying we're mostly heating company, and we do a little bit of air conditioning, and we do a little bit of plumbing.
So what led you down that path, right? I read a little bit of information on you. I thought it was awesome. I saw something about $8 in your pocket. Like, I love those stories. But like, why HVAC? Like, why do you do what you do?
Yes, I was asked this question actually recently. We just celebrated officially. We were incorporated March 1st in 2006. So I was asked to reflect on some of the past experiences. And that was actually one of the questions for real that someone who was making an interview with me asked me. And I said that the life has brought me to HVAC. I need to pay my bills. And I separated from my father. I worked for him for a little bit, and basically I was just left alone. And I went to one of our clients, a very smart and wise Jewish lady, and I asked her, I said, what should I do? And she said, you have two options. You either go to a Russian store, work like as a loader for $12 an hour. You'll have plenty of hours, but there's no growth. You will be loader for the rest of your life. Or there's a guy named Igor that looks for people for HVAC. And I was like, what's HVAC? She said, air conditioning. I said, okay. So she gave me the Igor's number. I called Igor, and the rest is history. Here I am, owner of HVAC company.
So this is 19 years ago.
Correct.
How long have you been in the States?
I came 2004. And like I said, I worked in the home remodeling business with my father, and then actually worked at Wawa. I know there's no Wawas in Detroit, but they're very, very popular here. It's like a gas station with a convenience store. So I worked a little bit there. That's my first official work in America, on a paycheck, of course. And then that's what happened, and I got into HVAC.
How old were you when in 2004?
21.
So like when you came over here, HVAC, just figured out, like, I want to hear what Igor's doing these days. But I mean, so you come into this world of HVAC. I mean, did you ever think that you would have built an $8 million company over 30 employees? I mean, or were you like, I'm just going to get HVAC, kind of do my thing?
I wanted to. I think I was entrepreneur for all my life. Even in middle school, I was able to pull off to have a kiosk selling candies in our school. And in our school, we had a cafeteria, which was run by the school principal and the cafeteria director, which was a lady of this size because she liked to eat, I guess. And so they had dealings going on where they would, bribe each other under the table for stuff, right? Kids were buying food. And then I opened the kiosk under precedent of collecting money for some charitable cause. And then kids stopped coming to cafeteria and started to come to my kiosk. So of course she complained to the principal. Principal shut me down. So it was in the seventh grade. All my family was proud of me because it was really something unheard of, to pull off. So I think since then, and actually, cool fact, I just remember, it's 100% true. I All the money that I earned, I went to we had flea markets. We didn't have real, official stores, and I bought the a hat of Charlotte Hornets. If you still, there when there was Charlotte Hornets back then, so that's the money I used. And
Muggsy Bogues, right? Muggsy
yeah,
Bogues.
yes, bought that hat for myself. Yes.
That's awesome. So you caught the entrepreneurial bug, come over to the States. You worked with your father. Was that back in Russia or was it here in the States?
No, here. First 6-7 months, he was doing like mainly finished basements work, some bathroom remodel, painting, a lot of painting actually, in good areas in New Jersey, Princeton, East Brunswick, North Brunswick, so Middlesex County in New Jersey, very affluent area, good people.
So you spin up the company. I mean, I think that, some of the questions I want to dig in, I think as an entrepreneur, right now it's really hard to attract talent. I hear everybody in the home service world, it's really hard to get good people. Like, how are you, 30 plus headcount? Like, what's your, like, how do you build culture in your organization and in like this economic climate?
This is what I think sets me apart, what sets our company apart, and I want to become known as let's say I'm starting my tour, right, of the uh, uh, service businesses and businesses in general. And I guess I want to be known as a culture guy because I think I get the culture. I think we have the right culture. I know, we have multiple people that with us for 5+ years, and I can see genuinely that people want to work here. We have a lot of things going on internally, a lot of celebrations, a lot of cool activities that is ours, and I think that's what attracts same-minded people. I know we have a very Ukrainian-oriented community where our office is located, so that's what people say. Of course, you tap into those. Sure, that's part of it, but it's someone bringing someone in, and then that someone recommends someone. So we have godfathers, as we call them. So this guy is a godfather for this and this guy, and this guy is a godfather for others. So they bring. We had multiple times we had brothers work in our company. At one point, we had three brothers in one family and three brothers in the other
Wow.
family working in our company at the same time. So that tells you, because brothers are, it's a different bond. They wouldn't recommend the company if, the company wouldn't be good.
Oh, I have four boys, and I can't even get them to agree on what do they want for dinner half the time, and they'll like punch each other in the face for that. I can only imagine in a high tense environment around HVAC. But so, like with that being said, for me that always comes from like the visionary or like you, right? What
Correct.
what are you like? How do you show up differently to promote that, or like you talk about culture, like hey, we have these things and this happens, but like they're there because of you and that tone that you set. Like what are some things that you're like non-negotiable, or what do you bring to the table that these other companies don't?
You're 100% correct. It starts with the head, right? It starts with the owner of the company. So I say to everybody, if you're a toxic person, you will have a toxic culture. If you're a weak person, you'll have a weak culture. If you're a positive person, you'll have a positive culture. Not necessarily positive culture is always, positive, like funny. Not necessarily. It's always
Sure.
it's all or the only thing you need to have. But yes, it starts with the owner. I think what I bring is never give up mentality. uh, I let people do their work. That I don't micromanage. I believe I undermanage in many situations, and looking at it now, but it works better than ruling by fear. They know I have the power on them. They know, so I don't have to mention. Oh, if you don't do this, I'll fire you. They know. So I don't think it's the right way to present yourself. I think it's the right way. Hey, let's have fun, but also let's remember we here. It's a business at the end of the day. We need to do the work that is required for business to be open and for us to have place to work. But let's have fun. But let's have fun doing that.
So my entrepreneurial assumptions are, you come over 2004, you start the business, you're doing the majority of all the work, right? Like it's you doing everything.
Everything.
At what
Yes.
point at what point did you start to like, was it a certain amount of revenue, or what sort of happened in transfer? Because I think in your space in the home services, you've got guys that, you know, they can't get out of their own way, and they're like the best one in the organization. They try to build a company and you hit a ceiling. What I love about what you've done, like 8 million, you had to do something. You had to scale, you had to get out of your own way as an entrepreneur and sort of build. Like at what point did you go from founder led, entrepreneurial led to you started bringing in resources and building the business?
I believe I thought about this question many times myself. I believe about 3 million is what is possible. Again, that's my personal opinion. What's possible with just, I call it share will. When
Yeah.
I was the warehouse guy, I was I put the orders in. I would do proposals, requests for proposals, some of the billing, some of the selling. So I think that can bring you to 3 million. That's what I think I was able to do. But past that, it's when it's the time to let go. I think a lot of people have this problem of letting go, and I think the in parallel it's the hardest thing, and we still struggle with that. Trust me. If I didn't struggle, I would tell you my revenue is 100 mil. So we're still struggled with building standard operating procedures, SOPs, right, and processes. So we're building them, but we're building them slowly. I actually looked for even specialists that can just come in and videotape us what the hell were we doing and write the SOPs, for us, help us writing us SOPs. So that's what I think it is, that after 3 million people need to let go, and in the process try to have some SOPs ready for the people that coming in and taking those roles from the owner.
No, it's really great perspective. I think as an entrepreneur, I mean, to be able to look in the mirror and recognize that's huge, right? Because I think, you know, your ceiling was 3 million. Like you're only one man. You can only do so much. There's only so much time in a day. And then it's like if you want to continue to grow, you kind of have to look and how do I replicate myself? How do I so like what was that? And that's hard, right? To do that from nothing to 3 million, like that's freaking difficult, like really hard, right? But
Yes.
then you take the next leap, which is okay, now I'm at three and I want to continue down this path because something probably happened to you. You're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not seeing my family, or like something happened where you're like, I got to do something. Like, what was that? What was that next triggering event for you?
uh, you're asking all the right questions. It's hard not to cry. Two divorces, how about that? That's
Okay.
what happened. So I think once you divorce twice, you lose two families. Something's got to change.
Yeah.
Things
So
that simple.
you gotta do what's right for you and really figure out like, because it's tough, right? I mean, I know in the home service world, right? Just and I have a lot of I'm actually like I have no like physical home service experience, but my previous life I did a lot of websites for home service contractors. So I know that world in terms of just how intense it is. Um, so I have a lot of respect for home services because I think even now in 2025 in the future, there's just so much activity. There's so many things going on in the home service world. But for you, right? So like having that moment of okay, I have to scale, like what's your feedback or recommendation for, it could be 500,000, it could be a million, it could be 10 million, but that other entrepreneur that's like hitting that ceiling, what like really worked for you? Like what was that first lever you pulled inside the business?
So a couple of things I actually brought. One was the person. So definitely people are the limit, and my limit is myself right now. I believe that every organization limited, still the biggest portion is the leader, is the president, the owner, how what he knows, what he is willing to do, what risks he's willing to take. And it started for me, I met Gary Aleks. I really think he was, even for a brief moment, the mentor, but that person that really changed perspective of, hey, it's not about you, it's about everybody else. So for me, it had to paradigm had to shift from being all attention on me. I was the one giving out awards. I was the one deciding everything, and it shifted. Hey, now team votes for everything. Team decides who gets what. Now it's all about team. I want to remove myself completely and see what happens. And the second thing happened, I read this book. I brought it because I was hoping you would ask this question. So another gentleman,
Phenomenal book.
Carl Ippoliti, introduced me to this book, and the same thing. The book points out that most of the problem, it's inside the person. And there's a great saying: as soon as you have a thought that the problem is out there, that same thought is the problem. And that was one of the biggest changes for me. This is like my home Bible. If I have a problem, I open this book and I read on the subject to remind myself again and again and again how to listen, how to mostly how to listen, actually, right? Because the
No,
people are trying
that's
to
great.
tell you
That's
something.
great perspective, and that's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, right?
Correct.
That's a phenomenal book. My kind of I love that book, and I love EOS. I love Traction. What Gino Wickman did.
Yes, we remember when we first met. We spoke about
Yeah,
it. That's that book came later in my life, but
yeah.
also it's on my close to my nightstand. And that book, right, is about processes and the systems of self-evaluation and the planned growth.
Well, big thing
But
they talk about that, right? Or like as that growth, and you hit on it. It's letting go of the vine, right? So like we're talking HVAC, like I know you're the best guy to do it, right? So you're like in your company saying, I built the company to 3 million. You're not, you're serving customers, you're doing all the proposals, everything's perfect. But at some point you gotta let the next man up or the next woman up, right? And they're not doing it half as good as you, right? Like probably not even 80%. Like how did you transition from you're the best, you built this company, and now you got to hand that torch over and kind of, deal with that, right? To get to the
yeah,
next phase.
we had for 15 years. I had a partner in the business, and he is very technical person, much more technical than myself. I am technical enough, but he was more technical, and we quickly realized that the training is the key. Everybody needs continuous training, not just even the people that think they know. Technology changes industry. Our industry changing again with the new refrigerant. So we're constantly being exposed to the new technology, new refrigerants, what have you, new codes. So we quickly realized that we need training, and we started to devote portions of the building for that purpose. At first, it was in a warehouse, so it looked rinky dinky. It didn't look professional, but the idea, the effort was there. The purpose was there. Hey guys, let us pay you to train yourself to get better. And now, as we last year, we grew even a little bit more to the point that our main meeting room is now becoming a training center where it's stations, live stations, and we just promoted one of our senior techs to the in-house trainer position, still part-time, but with even more dedication towards direct one-on-one training, mandatory constant training. Pretty much, that's the name of the game.
So when you reflect back, right, in some milestones of the company, now you have like trainers on staff and you're training in rooms, but do you ever think back to like the $1 to $2 million days, and like you're just probably running around with your hair on fire, and now
It,
now you've got training rooms and developing people, and
It's scary. It's scary, but you know what? There was no going back. You have to. Damn, getting too emotional. Sorry. You have to. You're almost like standing on a cliff.
Yeah.
You either fall down, or there's no backing up. It's and that's how it was. So you have to be in this. You have to be in this mentality that there's no turning back. There's never giving up. I know all those words, they sound cliche, but for me they weren't. For me, it was the survival.
How important, like you mentioned a partner in the business, like how important was it for you to have that partner during the start throughout those years, right? Like in hindsight, reflecting back.
It was huge. What I would recommend for people that are starting companies now and they're looking to partner up. I recommend the Simple Numbers book by Craig Crabtree, and he specifies how to properly set up the relationship, because I believe our relationship was not properly set up, and therefore, yes, the relationship lasted 15 years. We still have some business dealings that we're in together, but I think it could have been better. I think we're both afraid to face the differences that we had, and we didn't address them. We should have addressed them and said, look, okay, you're strong here, I'm strong here. I think this is what I want, and I just agreed to 50-50, and then but inside I didn't agree, and I
Yeah.
carried this weight. And when you carry something, uh, then blow ups happen. So I think
Yeah.
if we would have set it up differently, openly, uh, put everything out on the table, and make a win-win deal, or to make any deals, right? Like, again, the 7 habits suggest win-win or no deal at all. It would have been different for us.
Yeah, no, it's interesting perspective, right? I mean, I got real fortunate with one of my partners, and I've had like bad partnerships, I've had good partnerships, but my longest standing partnership, we were very like, I'm really good in this lane and he's really good in this lane. And it was almost awesome because it's almost like opposite magnets. We couldn't even really cross over and do what each other could do. And in hindsight, I'm like, that was such a blessing because I couldn't even fake do what he does and he couldn't do what I did. So it just made this perfect marriage. But I've had a lot of other extremely bad ones along the way. Um, so like what's next, right? So you're at 8 million, you've got a good team, you training, you're starting to build this, HVAC empire. Like you mentioned 100 million. Is that the goal? Where do you go from here?
That's written on our, we have like a postcard, not postcard, 8x11 core, our vision, core values, brand promise, KPIs, and the vision is 100 million. I think this is very hard to do, but it's possible. I told my team, if someone else did it, why can we do it? We just have to, and I know money goals are not the best, but it's hard to avoid that in our industry. Okay, we've won a couple, hard to get awards. There's really not like, hey, best HVC company in America. Maybe I should start that one and win it the first year. But so the numbers come to mind, and yeah, that is. And so when you ask me previous questions about, what did I give up and what was the consequences, and now I'm at a crossroad where I'll be honest, I am comfortable, and that comfortability is prohibiting me to grind again. And very as we're recording, I'm about to propose this Saturday, so she doesn't know. So I'll
Oh, nice.
be hopefully third time married, and I'm having a hard time. And we had a couple discussions. I said, you understand that if I go all in, that's going to be a different life for us. So I'm telling her, but inside myself, I'll be honest with you, I'm 50-50. Not saying I know I have it, I have in me, I want it, but I know what it costs. I know what the consequence of that. Let's go 100 mil. I think I know what it is. I know what it's going to cost me, and I'm not sure that I want to lose my life that I have today. So I worked 19 years to get to that comfort level, to live the life that I want finally, and willingly to lose it again. I,
No, it's
I
great
don't know.
perspective, and what I love about it, right, is like there's always challenges and problems along the way, like whether they're small or big, or and so I've had a lot of like consultants around me in my life, and they're like, most of them aren't worth a shit. But the one guy I remember, he said, Wes, he goes, bigger businesses just have more zeros at the end of the number. Like they have all the same problems. They're just bigger problems, smaller problems. I'll never forget that. But I mean, but in your world, right? Like there's private equity, like there's a lot going on in your space. Like if my crystal ball works, I'm sure you're getting the door knock or the phone calls like, hey, Alek, like let us come in and do a little
Every
roll
day.
up.
I'm
Yeah,
not even kidding. Every day. Yesterday
yeah.
again, Ace Hardware. Hey, would you like to resume the conversation? I'm like, no. I told you, reach back to me in 3 years. That's what I told them. But they're very persistent. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy out there because you have like, in your world, there's like the house call pro, the service titans of the world. A lot of like in Michigan, there's a lot of roll ups, a lot of, I hate to say ma and pop, but like a lot of them are getting kind of bought, shoved together because you do HVAC, plumbing, and electrical.
Yes.
Um, I want to switch gears. 2019, you did an Ironman, so you're busy enough growing a company. So talk about the Ironman. I don't know a ton about it, but 11 hours sounds like that's pretty solid of a time.
Yeah. So you swim first, you bike, then you run. So you swim about 2.3 or 2.6 miles. You bike 112 miles, and then you run marathon at the end. And in the process of training for that, I did multiple half Ironman. So basically half the distance of the full Ironman. And, at the end of 2019 in September, I did the full one. Uh, Very painful. But I felt that I needed that again in order to get out of the comfort zone and kind of that saying when people say you come out different on the other end or on the other side. That's what
Yeah.
happened to me. I think
I'm
I
I'm no I'm no mathematician, but 2.3 miles of swimming, 112 miles of biking, and is that 27 miles of running
26.2, correct.
in less than 11 hours?
11 hours 13 minutes. So my goal was under 11 hours, but didn't quite make it.
What
13
is that?
minutes.
Is that normal? Like, what's normal? That's just sounds insane.
That's good. So I was so anybody who's uh, above 11 hours, let's say 11 and a half hours, you're not running marathon, you're walking. So people that 12 hours, 13, 14, they walked the marathon. They didn't run. So I was able to run, uh, let's say 8.5, 9 minute pace, something like that, I believe. So bike was about 5 hours and a change. Swim was a little bit over an
Well, you're
hour.
doing you're doing like 20 some miles an hour on your bike the whole
Yeah.
time. You're
Yes.
cruising. Like
Yes.
that's fast.
Yes. Yes.
Like that's not like, I mean, you're like cooking.
Yes. I was very fit. I'll tell you.
Damn.
I was very fit. It's a lot of anger. What I mean, coming on the other end differently, it was like you flushing yourself. You're releasing lots of baggage, lots of anger, lots of frustration. So you're changing your autonomous nervous system for sure. It's 100% that.
So then from that is the next big thing. You did 3 days of backpacking in
In
Iceland.
Iceland, yeah. So that wasn't enough, and I decided to punish myself. So I took my bike and I went to in the middle of the Iceland. It took us. So it was my brother and my brother-in-law. They drove me to that point. So I think we drove for 3-4 hours through the Iceland, and then they said, "Okay, bon voyage." and off I go. And the start was a cliff. I'm not kidding you, 20 feet, 24 feet high. And I had to carry my bike. And they're like, let us help you. I said, no, you understand, if you help me and I can't get up myself, then I don't know what's going to happen after. No one's going to help me up there. So I have to do it myself. So at the start of that thing, my heart rate was about 160, 170 beats per minute, and they're like, "Okay, see you in 3 days." And yeah, I had to sleep in a tent in the middle of Iceland, drink water from running water from the mountains, eat some uh, food that you had to prep, like a small, not even a stove. I don't even know what to name it. It was pretty crazy experience.
Was that more difficult for you than the Ironman?
Mentally, yes. It
Yeah.
was. It was. I met maybe 20 people along the way because it was a trail. I did have a GPS phone with like a SOS from Garmin. Supposedly, helicopter would come and pick me up. I didn't. I didn't test that one. Thanks God. So I was able to text my family saying, "Hey, I'm okay. Like I'm okay." But I actually felt pretty hard once, like hit my head, and I was like, "Well, man, you would have died here, and no one would find you for days." So the trail was designed more for the mountain bike than the gravel bike. So that was, but you read, and that's another feedback for people. You read those forums. I wouldn't trust any of them anymore because people said, "Yeah, sure, I did it on a gravel bike." No way. I walked more than I rode on the bike, and there was still a lot of snow. That was another mistake. But it was June. There was like snow almost knee deep in some spots. Uh,
So what's next? That's a couple crazy. What's next on your bucket list? That's totally crazy.
so next I switched. So I did gravel biking for a few years. I competed in Texas. I competed in Kansas. The Kansas race is super known. It used to be called Dirty Kansas, and then they had to switch the name because it was not good enough for local tribes. So they start calling it Unbound Gravel. So that's considered hardest gravel biking race in the world. So I did that. It's actually a lottery. So many people want to do it. You get a lottery ticket if you win, and then you compete. So I did 3 races, did bike packing trips, and now I switched to road. Last year I was in Belgium for Tour of Flanders, one of the classic monuments for road cycling. And in April, I'm going to France to do Paris-Roubaix. So that's another monument. So I'm, back on the road, and that's the thing. Like now, my life is full of, cool things and adventures, and that's what's very hard to give up now for me.
That's really cool. I mean, are you able to do these things now in your business and not like really stress out about what's going back on at the office? Like, are you in that position now?
Honestly, 70. I can't say 100%. I wouldn't lie to the audience, but to give huge credit for my team, 70%. I get zero calls. That's huge. Zero calls. So I come back and I say thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody, not just to the office team. But when I come back, there's usually a big meeting. I tell about my trip, and then I say thank you for allowing me to do what I want to do in my life. So that's huge.
Like you mentioned KPIs and stuff like that's, key performance indicators. Now, when you set out to do that, did you do something custom or like I know in your industry there is like Service Titan or certain things out there. Like, do you feel doing something internally versus sourcing that through a partner? Do you have a recommendation one way or the other?
Uh, some of the crucial ones we got from Gary Alekis when we had a one-on-one with him, and they're very credible because he consults and he operates many companies, so he knows what the leading guys in the industry, what are their benchmarks are, and those are very hard numbers. For example, One of the hardest is 1% callback ratio on your installations. So 100 installs, one callback. That is, I don't know even if it's possible to give you example in 21, and for all the others who wondering why you're not making money. In 2021, we actually lost money. We lost more than $500,000 on 8 million of revenue. Our callback ratio was 52%. And I keep reminding everybody, remember 21, remember what happened, 52%. And you don't see those losses. You think, oh, it's okay, let's go back, we'll fix it. No, it's not okay. It costs you much more than you think. It costs you, thousands of dollars every day. So we're very serious this year. It's one of the company goals this year is that KPI. We have 5 goals this year for the company, and one of them is 1% callback ratio on all the.
And what was so special or different of 21? Like why so many callbacks?
We've had a satellite office. We in the Chester County under different name. We've brought a person on board to roll in this area under different brand, and I wasn't ready. I've never done it. I've never had a satellite office with a different team, and just culture was different. And I was concentrating on running it here and trusting it over there. And it was, again, bad setup. So that's why setup, I know it's a big word. It needs to be more granular, right? If someone would be interested in asking me, I can get into details. But for example, we were paying some of their bills, but not all of their bills. And therefore, what they see in their financials didn't match what we saw in our financials. But I saw our bank account and it was going down, 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 down. But on their end, the spreadsheet looked good, of course, because we were carrying lots of expenses that they weren't carrying. Workers' comp, he didn't realize how much worker comp cost, but I knew, trucks insurance, all of that. So that's and then them not following installation evaluation forms, really not measuring what they were supposed to measuring. The goal was to sell, and then we'll figure it out. The most important thing is to sell. So they would sell, and then the guys would come in to install. In half of the time, it wasn't what they thought it would be. So bad evaluations. We call them evaluations because you have to evaluate the system.
So you as a leader, like that's a big number, right? That's a lot of money. Like how did you course correct that quickly? Like you saw that metric through your dashboards you created. How did you jump all over that and solve that challenge?
I didn't, and I only did when, and that's my problem. I only act when there's a gun to my head, and when there was no gun, I was like, okay, well, let's work on this, and only when I started losing sleep and I measure my HRV was very low for all that year. I sat that person down and I said, listen, we have to find a way to separate, and we did. And guess what? The next year we made profit and we're back on the trajectory, even better trajectory. So, but again, confronting the fears, confronting the reality was something that I wasn't working on in 2021 and 22. I hired the therapist, and I actually credit a lot of recent success to work with her. At the beginning, I was working with her every week. I had a session every week, and still working, till this day, on working on these internal issues that I have. Not issues, but you know what I mean. Recognizing a blind spot, recognizing what's bothering me, what's prohibiting me from living, the full potential that I have.
Well, I mean, I think from my perspective, man, I think why you're successful, it's that self-awareness, right? As a visionary, as a leader, and like recognizing that you don't have all the answers, you're not perfect. I mean, along the way, you've identified your weak points and faced it and created a solution around it. Maybe it wasn't the exact timing you wanted, but you're implementing things and you've recognized that. Like, that's the one thing that I see that, really takes a leader from it. Just, that's what grows a leader. So I want to thank you for being super open and vulnerable and sharing that stuff, because it's not super easy. But I want to congratulate you on building a great company. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
How can people get in contact with you? I mean, I know home service guys, you'd be a great resource to contact and share war stories and just communicate. What's the easiest way people can contact you?
The easiest email, alek@synergy3.com, or Alek Ivanov, IVNOV, on LinkedIn. I think those are the easiest way. Or through synergy3.com, message to the president. We have a special section where people can send me message directly. That's the third option.
Well, awesome, man. We'll put all that in the notes too in the podcast. But Alek, dude, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck this weekend. We won't post this before the weekend, so good luck with that. And thank you again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
This has been another episode of Entrepreneur Intel. Thank you for joining us. For show notes or other episodes, please visit us at entrepreneurintel.com. Until next time.